Welcome into the Cougar Cast here at the Kokomo Post Sports. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, and this is the place to get all the information on what's going on at the athletic department at IU Kokomo. And joining us once again at the top of the show, it's the sports information coordinator at IUK, Mr. Grant Patterson. Grant, welcome back. You have a hat. I got a hat. We're twinning today.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on, but I like it. I like the little twinning segment. It's good to be back. I think it's the fourth week, so excited to be here.
Yeah, I don't normally wear hats when I do this show, but I wasn't able to get a haircut last weekend. So I was like, let's cover up the hair, put a hat on. I shaved a little bit, so my beard's a little more intact than it was a couple hours ago. But no, the hat things, I like it. I like yours as well. I think it's a good look for us.
Yeah, we'll have to get you an IUK hat next time you come out to an event.
I'm down. Speaking of events, we will be at an event, Grant. The Kokomo Post Sports Game of the Week is at Kokomo Municipal Stadium on Wednesday evening. The soccer team is in the semifinal round of the River States Conference tournament. Grant will be there. I'm excited to get out to a soccer game and see how these talented girls are playing.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a packed house. Happy to see the support from you guys coming out to the match. I think the Kokomo Tribune is going to be there as well. So just having everybody around to support the soccer program and see just how successful they have been, it's awesome. And we hope to build on that fan support, get a little bit more of a student section there. And yeah, they deserve all the support we can give them.
Speaking of support and people that deserve support and recognition and deserve to be celebrated, Miss Hannah Wells over the weekend won the River States Conference Championship meet. That's amazing. Out of all the people, especially when it's an individual sport, to be number one at the end of the day, Grant, that's huge.
Yeah, it's awesome. I was there in person, lucky enough to see it live, and it was awesome. Impressive feat, and it doesn't speak enough. First out of 95 runners in the conference, so that's a pretty impressive mark in itself. So with that, she does qualify for the NAI National Championships that'll be held all the way in Washington State, Vancouver, Washington. So not only does it serve as an awesome athletic experience, but it's got to be a cool personal experience. How many people have traveled to Washington State before at the age of 19? So now she's got an awesome chance to do that. And she was behind going into the final 400 meters of the race. I was standing at the finish line with one of the fellow track coaches, and we were like, wow, she is trailing now. But then all of a sudden, coming down the hill, the final 400 meters, she kicked it into another gear, and her mom was joking. They call her Hannah Kick Wells for a reason, because she really kicked it into another gear and crossed the finish line in first place for an individual title, the first of any individual or team in IUK cross-country history.
That's amazing. How did the rest of the team do in that event?
Yeah, so the rest of the team did pretty well. Leslie Sprankles, a sophomore runner out of Bluffton, Indiana, she was second team, and then Isabel Altick, nearby Carroll Flora High School, so she finished third team. So all in all, it went really well. But, I mean, back to Hannah Wells. She finished as runner of the year, newcomer of the year, being a transfer student. She was the champion of character representative for our program. So that says all you need to know about her and just describes her as a person. She's more than just a student athlete.
Just an amazing thing. Speaking of Hannah Wells, the soccer team's playing on Wednesday evening only because they won this past Saturday. I believe the final score to that, Grant, I got it on my notebook somewhere, 6-0?
Yes.
I'm correct. That's huge. We had Miss Sohaila Akavine on the show last week, and she talked about the team's growth and highlighted certain players, but 6-0, one player getting a hat trick, that's amazing.
Yeah, and what's even more impressive is the fact that this was the second time we played them. So part of you thinks that they're going to come in better prepared than they did the first time. And the first time we got the best of them in a 5-0 win. So I didn't necessarily expect us to win as big as we did last time. I expected us to win because I believe in Coach Sohaila Akavine and company. But to win in dominant fashion 6-0 in your first postseason match, that's got to calm the nerves, hopefully, going into Wednesday's River States Conference semifinal match. So it'll be cool to see how they play. Shawnee State's really peaking at the right time, so we know it'll be a difficult match. But as I said, all faith in the soccer program and the girls on that team, as well as Keely Hoopengarner, who had the hat trick in the win. So hopefully we can keep the momentum going.
For those that want to watch the game, I think it's a 7 o'clock start?
Yes, 7 o'clock start here at Kokomo Municipal Stadium in Kokomo. And then if you can't watch it, unfortunately, there is a fee for postseason games. We stream it through the conference website. So there's a short $8 fee, but hey, that's not much. That's just lunch money. Make your lunch at home the next day. Don't go out to eat. Spend it on that and watch a quality soccer match between two good teams vying for a shot at the River States Conference postseason championship and an NAIA tournament berth.
And that goes for the volleyball team later in the week as well as they start their conference tournament. It's the same feed to watch them?
Yep, same feed. We'll post it. We'll push it to the River States Conference website, and you can catch it there. You can follow our Twitter pages or go to iukcougars.com, and we'll have the stream links up to date. There
was a 6-0 win by the soccer team last weekend, but there was also a couple wins by the women's basketball team. If I'm correct here, 80-44 win over Kuiper College, and in Cleary, they beat them 76-39. More success at IUK at this time of year. I love it, but I'm sure these girls do as well. You mentioned last week they have a winnable stretch, and they're definitely winning those games this time of year.
Yeah, it's good to see them capitalizing on the early chances they have this year. And we knew game one of the season would be tough playing a foe in IU South Bend, so that was a chance to really see where we stood. Maybe a little disappointed, but that provides maybe not confidence, but it provides motivation to get better. And go into Kuiper and get a dominant road win by almost 40 points, that should set the mind right for last Sunday's home game, and it did indeed. We got out to a dominant first half and then big lead at halftime. I think we got up by 35 in the early minutes of the second half to really put that game on ice, and they cruised to a 76-39 victory. So another upcoming home game this week for them, and another chance to impress in front of a home crowd. And we know it'll be a busy Saturday in IUK athletics. I'm sure we'll touch on that here at the end, but the women's basketball team deserves all your support, and they're off to a great 2-1 start.
Yes, they are. The soccer team won. The women's basketball team won. Hannah Wells won the conference meet. Volleyball, they continue their program record winning streak. They beat Midway and IU Southeast last week. 2 more sweeps. The winning streak continues. The sweep streak continues. This team, they always amaze me. I understand winning, Grant, but if you're sweeping 1 team or 2 teams or 3 teams, that's great. Their streak of sweeps, it might be up to 10 in a row, and to me, that's unheard of.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly, but I know it's up to at least 12. I want to say it's at 13 straight sweeps, and these last 2 sweeps, the conference cross-country meet was at Midway in Kentucky, so I went down the night before and was able to see the volleyball match at Midway, and Midway's no joke, no slouch. Neither is IU Southeast. Both of those teams in the past have been strong, and IU Southeast really gave us a scare, forcing us to take the second set 30-28. So got a bit of a scare last weekend, but that's what they need when they're playing these less competitive matches because we are so good. It doesn't necessarily speak to the level of talent in our conference because there are some very talented teams, but to get that little bit of a close match feel as close as we can right before this week in the postseason, I think that's perfect and what they doctor ordered.
Grant, we are going to talk to Coach Eric Echelbarger later on in the show and discuss how the basketball team started off their season, highlight a few players that are on that team. Well, one player we would like to highlight is Max Newman, who was named Player of the Week for the River States Conference. He had double-doubles in the first 2 games that the basketball team played to start the season. Max, the player, what do you love about him when you watch him play?
Yeah, so didn't necessarily know what to expect. I knew Coach E was high on him when he was recruiting him over the summer, and when he finally got him here, I know it was Tom, our past AD, spoke very highly of him, and getting to see him perform in practice this year early on, I loved what Coach Eric said. I mean, he can finish on both sides of the rim with either hand. He's dynamic. He can stretch it. He's almost 6'7". He can stretch the floor and shoot the 3, and he was dynamite. Didn't necessarily step out and even have to shoot the ball in the 2 wins in near Chicago at Governor State a couple weekends ago. So to have 12 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists, I mean, I know 5 is a little bit of a high number away from a triple-double, but to do that in your first game with this program and this team, that's a pretty big statement. But then to bounce back against a perennial NAIA power in William Penn and go for 22 and 10, that's a statement if I've ever seen one. So super excited about the future for not only Max Newman, but the future of IUK men's basketball.
Max wasn't the only player to win Player of the Week at IUK this week. Hannah Wells also won. She was Runner of the Week for women's cross country. Keely Hoopengardner for soccer was Offensive Player of the Week. And then Audrey Strasma, Attacker of the Week for volleyball. I say it all the time. If you want to be successful, go to IUK and join the athletic department, because between soccer, cross country, volleyball, men's basketball, women's basketball, everybody is winning and being rewarded for their individual accomplishments on their field or court that they play on.
Jay, you said it best. Come on this show every week and we talk about the successes of our athletic programs, and we're not stretching the truth.
No.
This stretch is unlike any I've ever seen in one college athletic program. And this week we're talking about another program that experienced success last week in women's basketball. But back to these players of the week, we touched on Hannah Wells. She completely deserved that. She gave it her all, knowing that a high finish gets her a berth in the NAI National Championship. So she left it all on the course, and she was not going to be denied that chance at victory. All of her teammates and parents supporting her down there in Kentucky. And then on to volleyball with Audrey Stralsma. She's been dominant as of late. This is her second Attacker of the Week award in the past month, I think in the past 3 weeks. So just speaks to what she's done. She recorded 10 kills in each of the 3-set wins. And head coach Heather Hayes and I talk about this often, that it's hard for our volleyball girls to collect high stats and high kills and numbers and assists and digs when you're only playing 3 sets every match, while other schools in the conference are playing 5-set matches and at least a 4-set match every week. We haven't played a 4-set match in over a month at this point. So how else are they supposed to get these numbers? So to see the recognition that they're getting and for what she's done, she's been a key role in this 19-0 River States Conference stretch, and I think the win streak is up to 23. So that record at 29-3 is pretty, but it doesn't mean much if you don't play well in the postseason. So I know they're fired up and they're not satisfied with what they've done yet. And then the final player of the week, Keely Hoopengarner. We touched on her earlier as well. A hat trick, her second hat trick of the year. I mean, she was at 12 goals coming into Saturday, scored 3. She's up to 15 and 10 shy of what she did last year. So that speaks to what the volumes to what she did last year and how hard it is to accomplish 25 goals in one season. But hey, we still got at least 2 more matches left, and we know if we win these 2 in the River States Conference tournament, then we'll advance to at least 1 match in the NAIA tournament. So still plenty of chances for her to find the back of the net and for this women's soccer team to find success.
Grant, we touched on a little bit about the schedule for the week. Could you just go through the schedule for everyone that's wanting to participate in the attendance of the numerous sports at IUK that are going on this week at home or even away? Where are people playing? Who are they playing? When are they playing? Just the details of the week.
Yeah, so first we'll touch on the home postseason events because I feel those are biggest implications.
Yeah.
We like you at those the most. So hopefully by the time of this airing, that volleyball and soccer have both won their matches and earned their spot for volleyball in the RSC semis on Friday evening at the Student Activities and Events Center. And then for soccer, the championship game would be Saturday night. So hopefully volleyball and soccer take care of business on Tuesday and Wednesday night respectively, and then you have a chance to come out and watch IUK Athletics win 2 River States Conference postseason titles. We'll set those up. So volleyball's championship match would be at 2 o'clock this Saturday afternoon, and then soccer's will be at 7, so plenty of time to head downtown to the beautiful downtown district and get a drink or a bite to eat before you come out and watch your next match. But women's basketball also be at home, sandwiched between the 2. So they'll play at 6 o'clock. You could stay on campus and watch that. They'll play Holy Cross College, another non-conference matchup against an in-state foe. So another chance to improve. Maybe we can extend that record to 3-1 and really hit our strides before we finish up the non-conference stretch and get to the River States Conference schedule. But then as you'll see on the end of the show with Coach Eric Echelbarger, the men's basketball team will face another couple tough matchups at Rio Grande against a really experienced NAI squad in Lindsey Wilson. You know they're good at pretty much every sport they compete in, being in the Mid-South, one of the top conferences in the NAI. And then a Miami Middletown squad that should give our players a chance to get a lot of playing time, a lot of experience down the stretch, and hopefully we'll build on big things this weekend.
I appreciate Grant for coming on the show once again. And coming up next, we'll get to hear from head men's basketball coach Eric Echelbarger to hear about how he thinks the team played at the Governor State Classic to start the season, but then also to dive into what he is doing to prepare for the upcoming games the team is playing this week. As the Cougar Cast rolls on, I'd like to welcome into the show the head men's basketball coach at IU Kokomo. It is Mr. Eric Echelbarger. Eric, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me. It's time's moving right along here. We got a couple games under our belt, and what do you know? It's November already.
Man, games are going on. 2-0 on the season. Got to hear from Grant previously about how the team played against Governor State and against William Penn. How do you feel about how your team played against those two teams?
Well, I mean, it's opening weekend. We're on the road. road. We started off that Friday with a game against Indiana University, just outside of Chicago, and they played us really, really strong. I mean, it was a very tough game. It was a very physical game. They were very tenacious defensively. We turned the ball over a little bit. I really wasn't overall really pleased with how we played in that game, to be honest with you. There was some bright spots. Evan Kretz, a local young man here from Western High School, had a great game for us. He had 25 points. I think he had 6 3-point shots and really played a really good game. But we didn't handle pressure very well in that game.
Oh, wow.
So there were some things about that game that kind of concerned me. We had some talks after that game on Friday night into Saturday, and then turned around on Saturday and we played William Penn, who was at the time ranked 19th in the country, and kind of a team that we were familiar with because we played them when they were the number 1 team in the nation back in the 2022 NAI National Tournament. We were able to beat them on their home court on a last-second shot. So going into that game, you're going up against a great program, and guys played really well. They responded well the next day, and really played with poise. And our turnovers came quite a bit down. We moved the ball pretty well. We executed pretty well and showed some really good things. So overall, on the weekend, felt good about the weekend. Still think our team has a great ceiling. I think we can grow and really get together here, but it's going to take a little bit of time. But for that first weekend to come out of there 2-0, to win a big road game, to get a win over a ranked team, I was happy with it.
Coach, when I hear NBA players mainly talk about playing back-to-backs, it's a thing. It's real. Like, playing back-to-back days is difficult. But then when you add in first 2 games of the season, back-to-back, you're not at home, and then you add in you're playing your second game against William Penn, a team who you guys beat last year, but also a team that's number 19 in the country. Mentally, that might be a little bit difficult for the boys to bounce back on that second day. 30-point win over William Penn, especially after you weren't really pleased with how they played against Governor State. That's a really good way for the boys to start the season.
Oh, yeah, and there's also, you think about that was the quickest turnaround we'll have the entire season. It was a 7:30 game on Friday night, so you don't get done until 9:30,
right,
10 o'clock, and you turn around the next day, and I think that game tipped off at 2 o'clock. So that's a very, very quick turnaround. Even from you hope, your team is conditioned to do that right out of the gate, but you don't know. And from that standpoint, conditioning standpoint, it was really good. And being able to turn the page, and we had some serious talks about some things we didn't do well Friday night, to be able to turn the page and show some quick improvement in some areas and have that kind of result on Saturday. I mean, that's a really good sign. They were receptive to kind of what we fed them as far as what we needed to improve, and felt like there was some quick growth there. And we're happy with that result that weekend.
Let's dive into something here quickly before we get into a player of the week that was announced from your team. How do you go about handling how your team played against Governor State and then trying to prepare them for William Penn the very next day?
So it's hard when we're big on preparation. We're big on scouting. Myself and my assistant coach, we've already spent probably an hour and a half today looking over film for our opponents this weekend. We try to really do a good job of that. But when you go into the first 2 games of the year, you don't have a lot of film on teams.
That's right.
So, I mean, there's not games to go off of, and they could have new players and guys you don't know about. So for the most part, you go into those games, yes, you do try to do some advanced scouting on their players that are returning from last year, and you try to look up some of their transfers and see, if they were at junior college before, like what they're statistically, what they looked like and things like that. But for the most part, you're focusing on yourself. And that's where it's at. And you're talking about, hey, we got to react to the ball. It's loose balls. It's being ready to get up to game speed, championship level speed. And it's not going to be perfect by either team. It's the first game of the year for both teams. So, we don't expect perfection, but we expect 100% effort and then trying to control what we can control. And it's not always a scouting type situation in those first games out of the gate. So I thought the guys did a good job responding to that.
Coach, earlier today, it was announced that a player that had a double-double in both games against William Penn and against Governor State, Max Newman, was named Player of the Week for the River States Conference. He had 22 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists in the first game. Second game, really short turnaround, as you mentioned, 22 points, 11 rebounds. The numbers say one thing, but what did you see from him in those 2 games?
It's not a surprise at all for us that have been associated with our program. He came in this summer when we were in the recruiting, when he was transferring basically, and really liked what we saw. I mean, he is a skilled big guy, about 6'7", very, very strong. He's the strongest guy, physically the strongest player I've had since I've been here in my 6 years. He finishes down low. He's right hand, left hand around the basket. He has very good range. He shoots a 3-point shot very well. He rebounds well. He's smart. He knows the game. So that result is not a surprise to anybody on our team, that Max came out and had that kind of production out of the gate. We expect big things from him. He's a team guy all the way. He as you see on there, he had some assists in there too. So he understands the game, and we want to be sure and find him in the right spots, and then he's going to find all our other guys. He's like I said, he's going to move the ball. He's not ball dominant like that at all, but he is a productive and very, very talented player that we're very happy to have on our team.
Coach, you talk about his strength, but I think about the energy it takes to not only have 12 and 10 on one night, but 22 and 11 the next. The energy it takes to just get 1 rebound or 2 rebounds is a lot. And then you think about how much extra energy he's putting into to get 10 rebounds one night, 11 rebounds another. Oh, the first night he had 12 points and 5 assists. Oh, the next night when he had 11 rebounds, had 22 points. Just the energy that he's been able to put into the season so far, it's huge. And I know how sports work a little bit. I think it might be contagious when one guy's doing it. Other guys might be doing it as well and might join in on the fun. Did you notice his energy being contagious in those 2 games?
I mean, he's got great energy. He's been a great leader for us, even though he's new to our program. He's shown some great leadership qualities. But you do worry about that. He's a big guy. Yeah. And, I mean, you think about the quick turnaround like that. And I talked to my staff about, how many minutes can he go on that kind of quick turnaround. And to be honest with you, I think he was in his 32, 33 minutes each game. And we were just talking about this a couple of days ago. We didn't notice him really being tired. Yeah. So not like, hey, I need a break. We didn't see a lot of that out of him. So I think he's in pretty good shape right now, able to move. But no, he's good. I mean, that's we have other guys like that as well too, though, that are great energy guys every day. Noah Harris is a junior for us. He's been around for a while. I mean, he brings great energy to our team every day, and multiple other guys that are on board with that. So, but yeah, Max. I mean, he's going to be a really good player for us, and we have a great group around him. A lot of guys that can really do a lot of good things for our team.
Who else kind of stood out in those 2 games?
Yeah, well, we talked about Evan Kretz. I think we would have been in trouble in that game on Friday night if he hadn't, shot the ball the way he did. He really had his percentages were very high, but he's an excellent shooter. Yeah. And Evan's a great basketball player. He's a tremendous young man. He is learning. He's continuing to learn the game. Obviously, he's an elite shooter. Mm-hmm. We're trying to work with him in other facets of the game to make him a great all-around player, and he's going to be really good for us. He's only a sophomore, and we're excited about where he can get. You got Ty Wills from Anderson. He's a sophomore this year. He was honorable mention all conference last year.
Amazing.
And he's off to a good start for us this year as well, and doing a good job. The Noah Harris that I talked to you about from Noblesville is a junior, very athletic, moves well. Doing nice things. Julian Hunter, senior from New Albany, Indiana, is he had a good game, I think, against William Penn. He had 14 points in high minutes and did really good. Hunter Jackson is another guy for us that has been really steady at the guard spot. It was really good, really, in both games. A really steady force for us out there. He's got a lot of experience in our program and does a good job. So we have a group, I'm probably forgetting somebody, but we have a group of guys, and we're fairly deep. We can go a lot of different ways. In our lineup, so we're excited. We have some young guys that I haven't mentioned that are really coming along and are going to be guys that can contribute this year for us as they get a little bit more experience here in practice and on the court. So we're really excited about it.
Coach, this weekend the team is going to Rio Grande, Ohio for another set of games on a Friday and a Saturday. Not a quick turnaround like it was before, playing 7:30 and then turning around to play earlier in the day on that Saturday afternoon. No, I believe it's 3:00 tip-off on Friday, 1:00 tip-off on Saturday. Last thing here, what's the team's mindset going into games this weekend?
Yeah, just for us, and I say this and it sounds so simple, but I speak in a lot of simple terms because I really think the little things matter. And we really try to focus on the next game. Yeah. So right now we're full bore trying to get ready for Lindsey Wilson, who we play on Friday at 3:00 over there at Rio Grande, and they're a quality opponent. It's an historically very good basketball program out of the Mid-South Conference, which is a strong NAI basketball league. So we're trying to get ready for that game, trying to get our guys, ready to go when we get over there. And then we turn around. As you said, it's about a 24-hour turnaround, so it's not quite not as quick as the other weekend was, where we'll play a Miami Middleton team on Saturday. So it's a big weekend for us, and we just are coming off right now. We're coming off that big gap. So when we were at Governor State, after that we had about 11 days off. Now we're going to have these 2 games this weekend, and then I think we turn around next Tuesday and we play at University of Northwestern Ohio. So things are going to start kind of lining up for us, and that's when time starts flying, and you blink your eyes, and next thing you know, it's Christmas time.
You're exactly right. I'd like to thank head men's basketball coach Eric Echelbarger, coming on the show. And then also, I'd like to thank Grant Patterson, the sports information coordinator, for coming on the show as well. This has been the Cougar Cast. We'll see you next week.